A very good afternoon, dear parents. Welcome to our Primary 6 Parents Connection session. We would have loved to engage you face-to-face, but with this alternative engagement platform, we hope that it would also be able to meet your needs. In this session, we have 2 segments, a video clip segment, as well as a question and answer segment. I have with me today 7 members of the school personnel, and they will be joining me in answering some of your questions. As we transit to the 2 videos, there are 2 videos. One, I'll be addressing you, and the second one will be some information that you may find useful by my vice principal. Let us transit to the videos now. Good afternoon, parents. Welcome to our Parents Connection session. I'd like to begin this session by expressing our appreciation for you, especially during our HBL sessions. In addition, we also want to thank you for your understanding and your cooperation when we reopened our school in phases. We reopened our school in phases into a new normal of wearing masks, a new normal of heightened personal hygiene, a new normal of social distancing, a new normal of teaching our children social responsibility. While all these safe distancing, safe management measures change, routines change, but what remains unchanged is our vision, our mission, and our values. Our mission: a lifelong learner and a virtuous leader. We endeavor to grow each and every Laker who enters our gates into lifelong learners and virtuous leaders. And we achieve that by nurturing critical thinkers, active contributors, and responsible leaders who are anchored in our school values of love, perseverance, responsibility, integrity, diligence, and respect. We are also committed to our mission of providing quality education to nurture wholesome individuals. We place our students in the center of all our programs, our plans, and our decisions. And it's important to us that we provide each child a unique Laker Total School experience. This is our Laker Total School Experience Framework. There are 4 components: the environment, relationships, curriculum, teaching, and learning. Let's look at the first 2, environment and relationships. We are committed to establishing caring and enabling environment for our students. And this not only refers to a physical environment, but also a psychosocial environment, which is safe, inviting, and inclusive. And we wanted to make sure that that happens even during home-based learning. In order to ensure the development and well-being of all our students, we have a committed team dedicated to looking into these areas. So our student development team ensures that there's a holistic development at each level, as well as across the levels and across the domains. And during our home-based learning, we wanted to ensure that learning is accessible to every child. And that resulted in more than 100 school laptops being loaned out to our students. We set up helplines in order to support and to address all queries and needs that were surfaced by our students and our parents. For students whose parents are essential workers or students who require that extra nudge and supervision in school, we had home-based learning in school. And while doing all that, we were gathering feedback every now and then to ensure that we kept improving ourselves to meet the needs of our students. Relationships. It is important to our students, relationships. And we want to ensure that we nurture supportive relationships between our teachers and our students, as well as among the students themselves. There are many platforms that we grow supportive teacher-student relationships at the different levels. At the cohort level, the class level, and the individual level, all through the different activities that we have planned out for our students. And through the crisis, there was opportunity. There were opportunities that our teachers actually saw emerging. One of which is the fact that our students had to report directly to the classrooms, and they capitalized on that opportunity to engage our students one-to-one, just to build the relationship with them, just to have a chit-chat session, just to find out how they're doing and how we can support them better. What amazing teachers. Peer relationships. Peer relationships are important to our students, if not even more important, especially to our upper primary students. And we will ensure through the various platforms where we provide peer bonding, peer influencing, as well as to empower peer helping behavior. And during HBL, how did we maintain, sustain, continue these relationship building between teachers and peers through our Google Meet sessions by our form teachers as well as by our subject teachers. And in a week, we have our students meeting our teachers and their friends at least 4 times a week. Let's delve into the last 2 components of our Lakeside Total School experience, the curriculum and teaching and learning. This is our total curriculum map, which comprises the curriculum and the co-curriculum. Even during HBL, we provided and ensured that there's a balanced and holistic curriculum for our students. We ensured that each subject is allocated a time slot, including subjects like PE, character and citizenship education, music, and the arts, given a time slot where children were engaged in the development in these areas. While it was relatively easy for us to ensure that holistic development in the curriculum, it was slightly more challenging for us to ensure that development in the co-curriculum. And that required our staff and our teachers and my key personnel to engage in reframing, reimagining, and redesigning so we can continue to bring these positive learning experiences to our students. Our curriculum is undergoing a lot of reimagining and redesigning, and you will see how it will turn out when we offer it to our students. Redesigned events, redesigned activities. You see some of these out there already. So for example, our e-open house, it's up on our school website, and if you have not seen it, I encourage you to go take a look and have an inside view of the school on the website. A second activity
is the ECCA, and I'm sure you have received the letters, school letters from your child, from the school, in fact, on your child participating in these ECCAs. So consider and encourage your child to participate in these ECCAs. Even our prefect EXCO nominations have gone online. And your child shared that with you. And once these shortlisted EXCO nominees are put up, they will be involved in e-campaign, just like our GE. Other signature programs like our Thinkers with Heart Applied Learning Program, which engages our students in creative problem solving, in strengthening the digital capabilities, in communication, as well as living out their values. These are all redesigned so that we can continue despite the safe management measures. Learning continues, and who knows, we will discover more exciting ways of doing old things new ways. Another signature program is the Stars with Hearts, our Learning for Life program. It's also undergoing redesign. And what you're familiar with, Basking with Hearts, will take a very different look, and the children will experience it with a slight twist. All these redesigning of our programs and activities and our events really shows up the leader of our teachers in their own right. The agility, the creativity, the openness to change. This is all in line with our 2020 theme of Shine as Leaders. And our teachers are role modeling for our students. We've communicated to our students right at the beginning of the year that every single one of them can be a leader. And there lies within each one a leader. Our teachers also very quickly took the opportunity of our students who were back in school for home-based learning and engaged them in Project Explore, a new initiative where students will engage little projects for a duration of time where they learn the value of delayed gratification, and they learned to be creative and to problem solve, and where they also learned to be resourceful and use recycled materials to put their projects together. These are just some pictures of our students with their little projects. Another opportunity out of the crisis is the strengthening of digital capabilities, not just of our teachers, but of our students as well. It was during this very short period that our teachers explored video conferencing platforms together with our students, and our teachers designed online lessons so just that learning can continue, and our teachers developed digital resources so that they can continue to give feedback for our students in their learning. We do all that so that we can nurture future-ready learners who are self-directed, who are able to collaborate online and offline. And we couldn't have done all of that without your partnership. We want to thank you, and we want to encourage you to continue to support, motivate, encourage your child in your role as parents, to recognize and capitalize on their strengths, to appreciate the little efforts that they put in, as well as to focus on the process and not just the end result. And at the end of it, to nurture children with positive mindsets, which will go a long way with them in life. want to appeal to you to continue to work with the school, to work with your teachers, to grow your students, grow your children in their strengths and their interests, to continue to have that open channel of communication with the school and with your subject teachers. Continue to partner us as we are on the same side, as we want to partner you to develop your child holistically. So let's work hand in hand, let's work together with all our other partners, stakeholders and partners in the community, because it takes a village to raise a child. With that, I thank you.
Good afternoon, parents. I'll bring you to some of the Primary 6 matters, which include assessment as well as the direct school admission. These are the assessment dates for the students. Right after National Day, you will see that they will have the PSLE oral on the 13th and 14th of August. 2 weeks later is the internal school preliminary examination, 24th to 28th of August. In September, our students will be sitting for the PSLE listening comprehension for English as well as for mother tongue. And in October, they will be sitting for the PSLE written examination. The first 4 days will be for English, Math, Mother Tongue, as well as Science. And the last day, which is 7 October, is for the higher Mother Tongue languages. In order to support our students to address their learning gaps, to revisit concepts and skills, and also to sustain the momentum and motivation, the school will be conducting the holiday supplementary programs for these children. There will be 2 supplementary lessons, one during the midterm break, which will be held on 22nd, 23rd and 24th of July. The second holiday supplementary lessons will take place during the September holidays on the 9th, 10th and 11th September. MOE has announced in April that there will be some removal of common last topics which will not be assessed during the PSLE this year. This is due to the unprecedented disruptions of the curriculum time due to the COVID-19. These are the last common topics which will not be tested. It's on the screen. You can take a look at the screen. However, although it is not tested, our teachers will continue to teach these topics in the school. For more information, you can go to this website, which is also on the screen for you to take a look at the PSLE format really great. At the same time, students would have received this booklet from their teachers. This booklet is very informative. It tells you about the instruction for candidates who's going to sit for the PSLE examination. It is good that parents also go through the booklet together with your children. That brings me to the direct school admission. This is for your information, as the direct school admission application has been closed. There are 2 ways to enter the secondary school. As for most students, it will be during the PSLE results. When they receive the results, they will do the Sec 1 posting exercise, where parents will choose the schools based on the results of the PSLE. The other way to enter the secondary school is via the DSA, which is the direct school admission. Schools that offer direct school admission are looking at talent, passion, and commitment in the students. If your child has the talent for either academic or non-academic areas, your child is able to apply for the DSA. For example, if your child is talented in sports, music, dance, or art, your child may apply to schools that offer the DSA in this area. Or your child is also talented in the academic area, such as the math or science. If the school offer such areas, your child may also apply for these areas. There are other considerations that the schools are looking for: strong personal qualities and also good academic fit. Let us look at the timeline. Currently, the DSA exercise is closed. It was during the May holidays that MOE has sent out the application via Parent Gateway. We are now looking at the second phase, which is the 1st July to 14th September, where if your child has applied for DSA, you will wait for the school to inform you of the outcome of the selection. If your child is selected, your child may need to go through the e-interview or e-audition, which will be held in the primary school. You will be notified and the school will assist your child in the e-interview or e-audition. At the end of this phase, which is 14 September, you will be receiving the outcome. There will be 3 outcomes: confirmed offer, which means that your child will be confirmed a place in that secondary school; wait list, which means that your child is in the wait list in that secondary school; or unsuccessful. And based on these 3 outcomes, during October end, you will need to select up to 3 schools based on your preference if your child is given more than 1 offer. The outcome of the school, that means the result of which school your child will go to at the end of this DSA process, will be released during the PSLE results, tentatively on the 25th November. The DSA outcome is very important. If your child is successfully allocated in the DSA secondary school, your child is not allowed to participate in the Sec 1 annual posting exercise, which means during the PSLE results, when you receive the PSLE result, you need not choose the 6 schools because you have been offered the school of the direct school admission that you have selected. You will also not be allowed to transfer to another school. If you are not successful in the DSA, you will then proceed to do the Sec 1 option exercise, choosing the secondary schools that you would like to go to. With that, I've come to the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, parents.
Okay, very good afternoon, parents who have just joined us. Welcome back. Those of you who've joined us right from the beginning. We hope that you found the video clips by myself as well as by Madam Salbia informative as well as helpful. Not to worry, if you do still have questions, do type in your questions via the QR code or the link that you can see at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Okay, let me introduce my panel right here, all the smiling beauties and gentlemen. First, we have my Vice Principal, Madam Salbia. I have Madam Go, my head of math, Mr. Chin, my head of science, Mrs. Walker, head of English, my assistant year head for primary 6, Mrs. Joyce Ang, Mrs. Kumar, my subject head for Tamil, and Madam Low, my subject head for Chinese. I hope you're clapping from wherever you are. Okay. We have a few questions here that we'll share with you in a minute. And if you have questions, do submit it anytime. The very first question is on the posting, Sec 1 posting. How would you advise parents on the choice of secondary schools for the students? Okay, let me take this question first, and then the rest I will invite the panelists to come in. It's very important for us to look at this as a parent and child project. To do this, explore the schools with your child, because it will be a choice that your child will have to live with for the next few years. And we must make sure that it will be a school that your child will enjoy the next lap of his or her education journey. So there are a few considerations. For example, you may want to explore the websites of the various schools. One is the culture of the school, the environment of the school, and also the CCAs and the programs that are offered by the school, and to see if that matches the interests of your child and the talents of your child. So all these considerations, and one more thing is the distance from home to school. That is very important. We don't want your child to be taking too much time traveling back and forth, and that would tire your child out. Okay, and lastly, would be to ensure the academic fit for your child. When your child receives the results and the aggregate for your child, check the cutoff point for the respective schools and choose one that you think your child would cope with well. So it's important to take into consideration all these various factors in choosing the secondary school for your child. I hope that answers the question. Let's look at the next question. Also on a Sec 1 posting question. Madam Saubia, would you like to take this question? It says, can my child opt for a different stream from what he has been allocated to in the PSLE result slip? Saubia, can you unmute?
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Go. Yes, I'll take this question. The PSLE examination is a placement test to determine the most appropriate course for the student to go to the secondary school. So the PSLE score is an indication of the overall ability of your child. So based on that score, the child is then offered the stream that is most appropriate for him in the secondary school. And therefore, you are not allowed to choose or change the option. So if your child is allocated the normal academic, then you should go to the normal academic. If your child is given the express, you should just take the express or the normal technical respectively. However, if your child is given normal academic stroke normal technical, that is where the choice will come in, and you have to consider your child's ability in order for you to make that option. So if your child is given the option, only one option, for example, to go to a normal academic, so allow your child to proceed to the secondary school, motivate him to do well in the Sec 1, and at the end of the year, your child, if he does well in the examination, he is able to select or given a selection to take subjects which is offered at a higher academic, more demanding. For example, if he's in a normal acad, he can be given English at the express level. Or In any other case where your child did very well for most of the subjects, your child may even be laterally transferred to a more demanding level. For example, your child is in normal academic, your child did very well, your child can go to the express. Similarly, if your child is in a normal technical, he did very well, meet all the criteria, your child may be laterally transferred to the normal academic. So at the end of PSLE, whatever option is given, you are not allowed to change the option. Proceed, motivate your child, and allow your child to display his best. And at the end of Sec 1, there is always the flexibility in the secondary school to allow your child to take another subject as an option and do better at the next level. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Saubia. Let's look at our next question. But just before I read out the next question, for parents who have just joined us, do submit your questions if you have any via the QR code or the link at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So the next question that we have is on PSLE written and oral exam. Perhaps Mrs. Walker, HOD for English, can you take this question? And here it goes. If my child misses the PSLE oral or written examination, will there be a makeup exam? If there is no makeup examination, how will his score be calculated? Mrs. Walker.
Thank you, Mrs. Goh, for the question. In summary, there will be a makeup examination for PSLE oral. However, there will not be a makeup examination if your child misses the listening comprehension or the written papers. Let me elaborate a little about the makeup exam for the oral examination. So there are two scenarios when in which a child may miss the exam. So in the first scenario, if your child misses the exam only on day 1, we can make arrangements for your child to take the exam for both English and mother tongue on day 2, provided the subject is offered on day 2. Because, for example, Foundation English is only offered on day 1, and if your child misses that, then there will be no makeup exam on day 2. The other scenario is if your child misses both oral exams on both days. Now, in this situation, the school may apply for your child to sit for the makeup examination if he is absent for valid reasons. However, your child will need to travel to the designated examination center for the makeup session. Now, for written and listening comprehension, if your child has missed those papers, like I mentioned earlier, there is no makeup examination. How the scores at PSLE will be calculated will rely heavily on your child's preliminary examination. Yeah, and they will calculate his final PSLE score based on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. So we hear that the prelim examination is also very important. Just in case we need to get back on that, we need to fall back on that. Okay, our next question on PSLE. What is the school's plan in helping the students to prepare for the PSLE, considering the amount of time lost during the COVID-19 period? A very valid concern, right? Can Mrs. Ang, our assistant year head, take this question, please?
Okay, thank you for the question. So just want to let the parents know that when we prepare our students for PSLE, we are looking at two aspects. One is the academic part, one is the overall well-being of our students. So rest assured that for our P6 scheme of work, we have factored in enough time for both the revision and the revisiting of the earlier topics. So with the removal of the common last topics, I'm sure that you have already heard of this, that we actually have sufficient time to complete the syllabus and still have enough time for revision in the classroom. Also, you should be aware that during the HBL period, our teachers do allocate time to revise or cover topics that were easier for the children via the SLS platform or other remote teaching platforms. So actually we are on track for all the subjects. For the physical and mental well-being part, I felt that it's actually very important for us to take notes that actually our students will need the additional support from both the parents and the teachers as well. So we would like to highlight that we would like parents also to check in on your child's well-being. Maybe just take some time to talk to them, like check on them and see whether they are coping well with the what is given in school. And in the school, the teachers have also spent the morning time chatting with your child. So it can be a class check-in whereby we will talk about issues that the children might face. And sometimes we will have a heart-to-heart talk whereby the form teachers will engage the child to actually talk about and discuss problems that he or she might be facing at this moment. Okay, and also for the upcoming term break, there will be a remedial session or a supplementary session that your children will be required to attend. So with this one will be let known to you at a later date. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Zhang. Yes, indeed, our teachers are doing a lot to reach out to your children to ensure that they readjust back to school well and to support them in whatever way, not just academically. We emphasize the well-being of every child, and that is key and important to us. Okay. Let's go on to the next question. The next question is on science. So here it says, with the common last topic, right? Mrs. Zhang mentioned the common last topic, and that's the talk of the town. With the common last topics removed, how will it affect the distribution of questions for the other topics? Does it mean that physical science topics are more important now? Okay, a very observant question, parent. So, Mr. Chin, take it away.
Okay, parents, thank you for the question. Yes, in fact, our science PSLE paper is distributed about 50%. Half of it is on life science question, and the other half is on physical science question. And it so happened that this year, because of the COVID-19 situation, the common last topics are taken out. And this common last topic are mainly the life science topics from the theme of interactions. If you have been following your child's education for science, you notice that all our topics are divided according to 5 different themes. So not to worry, SEAB has already communicated to all the schools to inform us that the distribution for life science and physical science topics and questions will still remain the same. So those common last topic that are taken out, the number of questions will be redistributed to the life science topics of other themes. So there will not be an overemphasis on the physical science topics. So we are also prepared, we'll be preparing also the students during the prelim exam to have a feel of how the new paper with the common last topic taken away, how is it like? So just, that's what the arrangement will be like for PSLE this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chin. Would maybe HOD Science would like to chime in as well, Madam Goh, on the common last topic and how it affects mathematics, the distribution of the question. And while you address that question, perhaps you would like to take on this related question as well. How can my child start revising for mathematics? And can we spot topics since many topics have been removed? Things have changed. Maybe spotting topics used to be what we used to do, but things are different now. Madam Goh?
All right, thank you, parents, and thank you, Mrs. Goh, for the questions. Yeah, just to continue with, to explain the common last topics for mathematics. In mathematics, when we talk about common last topics, I would like to use a topic of volume as an example. Volume is a topic in mathematics and foundation mathematics. And this particular topic is taught from primary 2 all the way to primary 6. So we introduce the P2, the topic of volume, and we will teach them the application of the concept of volume at primary 5 and primary 6. It is slightly different from house science with regards to the common removal of the common last topics. In mathematics, what will not be examined in this year papers will only be the primary 6 content of the stated common last topics. So in short, going back to the example of volume will be tested up to the P5 content. So I like to make this clearer. And if you have questions, you can always approach your child's maths teacher, or you can give the school a call, and then I can get back to you. All right. And then if you really want the details, actually you can refer to the SEAB website and the MOE website. Actually, they do have the details there. Right. And then going on to the next question on whether, because this is how the common last topics are like in mathematics. So in short, topic distribution will not be affected. Therefore, spotting topics is not recommended, right? Yeah, so to address the question on how do we start revising for mathematics, all right. First, we begin by identifying the current level the child is in. And then after that, we will fill the identified gaps and also correct their misconceptions coupled with regular practices. All right, in school, we have planned out and paced out the revision to do the above that I have stated. So do encourage your child to keep pace with the school teachers and to keep up with the corrections and school work, and approach the teachers to ask if they are in doubt. Right, just like what Mrs. Sang had said. So at home, it is suggested that perhaps a study plan would be good. So sit with your child, like what Mrs. Goh mentioned earlier, to plan out the study goals, clear goals for the children. And depending on the needs of the individual, for mathematics, you may want to start even revising from P3 topics onwards to see if you have mastered all the fundamentals. And most importantly, a positive environment and ample rest are key factors to help the child build the stamina to achieve the desired rigor. And lastly, I would like to just let all the parents hear this. Look beyond PSLE, because the main aim of the primary maths curriculum, in fact, the primary curriculum, is to help to lay a strong foundation to get them ready for continuous learning for mathematics and acquiring skills to make informed decisions and to problem solve in real life. So PSLE is a big stone to the children now, but it is one small stone along the way of many stones that is to come. Yep. So that is my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Goh. Parents who have just joined us halfway, if you have any questions, please submit them to through the QR code or the link which you see at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Okay. So the next question is on the oral, PSLE oral. Okay, for the upcoming PSLE oral, will the wearing of masks be affecting the way the students do their oral? Would pronunciation be clear? Would it affect the overall performance of the child? Then can they wear face shields instead? Can HOD English, Mrs. Walker, can you explain this?
Thank you, Mrs. Goh. Parents, I understand that you and your child may feel anxious about the oral examination, especially because this year it's a one of a kind situation. But first and foremost, I want to highlight that the safety and well-being of your child and all personnel involved in the examination is our topmost priority, while still ensuring fairness of the exams. So precautionary measures will be put in place to achieve this. So masks are still the default protective gear. So in short, no, your child cannot wear a face shield to replace the mask. And throughout the examination, from the moment your child steps into school, the mask has to be put on, except for 2 instances. First, when the teacher in charge verifies their attendance, your child may be asked to briefly remove the mask to ensure that he is who he says he is. Yeah, and he will have to put the mask back on while he or she is in the waiting room or is doing the silent preparation. However, when he steps into the examination room and faces the oral examiners will give your child the cue to remove the mask, and your child will not need to put on the mask during the reading aloud and oral interaction segments of the examination. So how do we ensure the safety of your child during the oral examination? Your child will have a desk shield placed in front of him, and he or she will be seated at least 1.5 meters away from the oral examiners. There will be sufficient hand sanitizers around as well, and things will be wiped down between each candidate. So if your child is unable to hear the oral examiner clearly, your child may raise his or her hand to let the oral examiner know, and the oral examiner will also ensure that he or she can hear your child clearly. So over the last few days, we have issued a copy of the advisory that SEAB has given us to your child. More details on it, more details about the precautionary measures are listed on it. But that being said, this is an evolving situation, and there may be changes closer to the date. But rest assured that if there are any updates closer to the examination date, we will inform everyone in a timely manner. So I hope that reassures you during this period of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Next question is an interesting one. It's about PSLE again and the scoring. It says, can prelim exams serve as a benchmark and prediction of the student's PSLE score? How should we use the results from prelim exam as an estimate of students' PSLE scores? First and foremost, let me take this question. I wouldn't use the term benchmark. I would say more for prelims, it's more indicative of the student's readiness at that point for taking the PSLE examination. And from past data that we have studied, it is largely likely that our children do better in the PSLE as compared to the prelims. That's because between the prelims and PSLE, there's still quite a bit of time. And with continued effort, that similar effort, the continued great effort by the student and good attitude, positive attitude, it's possible to improve. So we want the children to know that if they continue to put in the effort, there is a hope for improvement. That said, however, there are also cases where children, due to many other factors that contributes to how they perform at PSLE, may do not as well during the PSLE as compared to prelims. But it could be due to many other factors. And like what my heads have mentioned, really, well-being is one that we want to look out for, that children get enough rest, they are happy. It's just really, it's not all about PSLE. PSLE doesn't define them. It is just part of the journey that they are walking through. And so walk alongside them, encourage them, motivate them, and continue to chat up with them and allow them to attend to their hobbies as well. So we want a good balance so children will be able to perform well when it comes to the PSLE. The other thing I want to mention also for prelims and PSLE, I think it's important for us to pace the children. Yeah, our teachers are pacing the children. So at home, where you are, in whatever extra work that you are giving, just to make sure that they do well, to also pace them. Children do get tired, oversaturated if we do push them too hard too early, and they may not be peaking or be at their best at the PSLE. All right, I hope that answers the question. Okay, next question. Okay, for mother tongue, can Mrs. Kumar take this question? Says, can my child drop higher mother tongue now?
Okay, thank you for the question, parents. Okay, at this point of time, PSLE registration is closed. Any changes to the registration or subjects taken will be handled on case-by-case basis. The point to note here is that your child is taking higher mother tongue now is because teachers at P4 level have seen your child's potential to cope well with the subject or even do well in it. So considering that, perhaps you may want to talk to your child's class teacher to find out the weak areas and see how they can support the child. They should be able to assist your child accordingly and share some workable strategies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kumar. Okay, there's a interesting question, very relevant to the times. COVID, we're all concerned about catching the virus, but you know what? The school is the safest haven because we do so many checks. We are so strict. We ring fence. It's as safe as you can get. This question goes like this: given the COVID situation hasn't completely gotten away, I think that's what it's trying to say. What will happen if my child or our child contracts COVID, the virus, during the PSLE period? If your child contracts the virus, he or she will not be allowed to take the examination. All right. I think safety of others and all will be of the highest priority. And in such a situation, we will fall back on the prelims examination results, which we shared earlier on. Yeah. So not in school, not in a separate venue as well. Okay. Let's look at the next question. My child is not selected for science remedial. How will my child be helped? Mr. Chin, please.
Okay, thank you for the question. First and foremost, our science teachers now are preparing the students for the PSLE. So a lot of time when we identify students for remedial lesson, we base on the teacher's assessment of the child's learning needs in class and progress. So I understand that some parents will feel that your child may need extra help during this period of time. There are a few things that you can do. Probably you can talk to your child, or if you feel that your child needs extra help, do contact the science teacher of your class to understand or to tell the science teacher what are some of the difficulties that you observe your child is having during this period with coping with the revision or the work for science. Sometimes a little chat with a science teacher and with little tips and advice from the science teacher from your child may help you to better guide your child in revision for the science preparation for PSLE. So do encourage your child to go back to the teacher in the class and ask for help. Or a lot of time, your child may not need a 1 hour remediation in the afternoon. It could be that topic or the question that your child have. Go back to school, get engaged with the science teacher, and maybe with that 10 or 15 minutes during recess after school, your child will be able to catch up with their learning. So my advice is really know your child and also communicate with the science teacher from the class. This will better help your child to progress in this period of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chin. The next question is for Chinese. It's in Chinese. I'll say it in English first. If my child fails the Chinese paper at PSLE, will he be eligible for secondary school, to progress to secondary school? I'll read it in Chinese. 我的孩子华文的成绩很差，如果在小六会考中不及格，他还能升上中学吗？Can Madam Low, our subject head for Chinese, she will reply in Chinese and then followed by Mrs. Kumar to explain in English.
谢谢校长，谢谢家长的提问。那这要看全部4科的总积分，总积分决定您的孩子是否会升上中学的快捷班或者普通班。任何一科科目成绩弱，就会影响孩子所能够选择的中学。如果全部4科都很不理想，特别是其中一科的分数很低，达到20分或以下，孩子有很大的几率升上中学会遇到困难，甚至是需要重读6年级。因此，我们鼓励家长在这段时期给予孩子帮助，鼓励孩子都努力学习，尽量及格，也千万不能忽略其他的科目。那老师们呢，也会尽责的帮助孩子能够顺利升学。谢谢。
Thank you, Madam Low. Can Mrs. Kumar, could we hear you?
Yes. So the PSLE aggregate score is actually a tabulation of all the 4 subjects. So yes, you can still proceed to secondary school even if you don't clear mother tongue, but the child has to meet the entry point of the selected secondary school. So please be selective in choosing the appropriate secondary school. But the challenge will be when your child don't clear all the other subjects as well, especially when the scores are about 20 and below for most of the subjects, especially for mathematics. The child may even have to repeat P6. So at this point of time, there is still time for your child to work on his or her weak areas, not only for mother tongue, but for every other subjects as well, if we are talking about proceeding to secondary school.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Kumar. We'll take one last question and then we will end off. Time really flies. One on PSLE. Can we appeal for a review of the PSLE results upon its release? Can Madam Salbia, can you take that question, please?
Okay, yes. Parents are allowed to appeal for review. Of course, the application must be made through the principal using the application form, which we will be providing, and it must be done within 7 days of the release, from the release of the results. Of course, there's a fee that is chargeable per subject. So if you're going to review 4 subjects, that means you have to pay for 4 subjects. And the appeal outcome will only be made available to the school in mid-December. And that's when we will inform yourself or your child the appeal outcome. Yes, so you are allowed to. However, like I said, there's a time frame, there's always the fee, and of course, must go through the principal of the school. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to thank all my panelists who are part of this. I also want to take this opportunity before I end this session. The team that is behind the scenes, we want to thank our ICT team. I wish we could clap, yeah? That's led by my HOD ICT, Mr. Chan Kok Hong. I'd like to thank our student development team as well, who worked on the planning and the coordination, and they are somewhere there as well. And thank you, parents, for spending your evening with us. I hope that the session, the videos, and the question and answer session was helpful for you. And if you still have questions, you can submit the questions and we will try our best to answer all your questions. We will put up the question and answers on our website. And if you've missed it, there'll be a recording that will be put up in our website as well. Okay, with that, we want to thank you and wish you a very good evening and have a great weekend ahead. Thank you.